Right, welcome back everyone, I'm still Evil Tim, and it is time to learn of the heresies inherent in the land of Barcelona. For while it may look like an ordinary city, looks can be deceptive. High above the cowering city floats a fortress of Sinch, its surface coruscating with the very energies of the warp, changing moment by moment. Inquisitor Danielus Krieg has been sent forth to discover if anything can be saved.
Known as the Janus Group.
Are you sure you're not just believing his spam emails there?
I made a phone call last night to a Russian gangster named Zukovsky, looking for an EMP-hardened helicopter.
Hey, small-time arms dealer, can you smuggle a helicopter through your nightclub? Strangely not.
The local police have a mole inside, a Sergeant Garcia, who can make the introduction.
Maybe you want to tell me what she looks like?
Physical characteristic is a terrible scar across his right cheek.
Okay, so yeah, it's a bit more overexposed in this version, which means that you can kind of see why they're saying they don't know his physical features, but it's still kind of stupid, really. Especially since he doesn't really seem to be making much effort to conceal himself. But anyway, here are our objectives. We must locate a Sergeant Garcia, obtain Zukovsky's contact list, obtain the nightclub security footage, and photograph evidence of Zukovsky's arms deals. Good lord. So, that must we do in all of the places where these things are possible and none of the ones where it's not. So yes, this is the thing that the Wii version lacks that the other version has, is light. Anyway, well, up there is her sister, down the stairs is her sister, here is her sister, and their twin sisters over there. This is the land of multiple births. Clearly chaos has great influence here. But anyway, let's zoom into this man and find out what he's all about. Okay, so there is far fewer people here as well, and those two men are still having their conversation, their marital tiff as it were. This area out here actually looks a bit better in this version, but the rest of the level does not. It's a lie. So, this man will not address us in any way. He is a statue. He has been turned into it by insulting the Gorgon, no doubt. And this time we can find out of this conversation here.
We do not have any tickets available for this evening.
These men are menacing each other with their terrible claws. Okay, so that's where you're supposed to walk in.
No more tickets.
I want to see the manager.
Senior, please, I will be forced to call security if you continue.
Aren't you security? So yes, he's going to wave his claw at that guy, so let's go past here before any violence is seen in that area. Alright, so here's the Wii gimmick.
Bond, you can use the face recognition app on your smartphone to locate Sergeant Garcia.
Thank you.
Okay, so that audio might have sounded slightly distorted there. That's because if you are playing with the Wiimote controls, you can lift the Wiimote to your ear and it will play out of the speaker. Obviously you can't do that on the next-gen versions. So that's why that didn't happen. Meanwhile, he's going to have his thing there, so let's see who he is. We don't know who he is. He's a lie, perhaps. So that guy over there will not talk to us at all anymore. He is just a piece of scenery, a blocking device, as it were. And meanwhile, let's go onto the dance floor and discover that the Master Necromancer has summoned shades into this club. Yeah, so I suppose the idea of this is to show, like, how many character models that we can manage, but it's pretty obvious that almost all of them aren't really anything but 2D shapes. So if you tried showing this off to your friends, they'd point out that, hey, it's 5-frame animations. I think most consoles can do that. Yes, here in the darkness we will have to go forth here and find Miss Wigington again. You.
There's a one bottle minimum.
I'm not surprised.
Russian quality. Only available in Moscow.
Let me analyze this with my senses. No, it's a lie.
Perhaps you should tell your boss. The real label is a darker shade of blue.
Querida, we are waiting for our drink.
Wait, okay, so if the guards are Russian, but how come he's Russian? Was this nightclub meant to actually be in Russia like the one in the original? Did they change it for no real reason at all? I don't really get why they decided that this should be in Spain either. I mean, surely when you're going to like some foreign location, you should go to places which are distinct to that location. Otherwise it's kind of like just going to a bowling alley in Laos or something. It's like, that's not why you have a level set in Cambodia, is it? Alright, so that's his dance, which he will do, his curious dance, which will impress the ladies. I suppose that, like, you're supposed to wave the Wiimote around if you want to dance, but I can't be bothered to do that, and also I'm playing with the controller anyway. So, over there can be Sergeant Garcia, or she can be there, but she is up on the balcony, so we will have to go and talk to her in that way. So yes, this is what their mole can do, is she can get into the place that every other person in the world can get into, it seems, except that one guy who didn't have a ticket. You! Do you have a ticket? I don't think so. Let me speak to you.
Sergeant Garcia?
Sígueme, Mr. Bond.
Okay, so in this version she gets a little label above her head just in case you have somehow forgotten who she is in the 1 second between the last time you talked to her. And I suppose that's another thing that the Call of Duty engine can't do. There's a few things it can't do that we'll see later on. Meanwhile, this guy here is standing perfectly still in an amusing fashion. These people here are apparently not drinking near the bar, and you'd think some of them would be moving at least, but I suppose not. You, sir, I need you to feel me up. I'm just in that sort of mood, you see. Oh, he's good. Well, right, okay. Stop climbing into my pocket, you madman. That's what happens. You trust a man to give you a good old feeling up, and then you get burglarized. It's a terrible world in which we live. Okay, so we get a subtitle for that. We don't get subtitles for any other damn thing. I guess they must just hate the deaf when they made this game. Meanwhile, let's go into here and discover the Master Necromancer, who has almost completed his summon. He's creating a creature which resembles a human woman, and yet is actually a cruel mockery of it. A demonette. This place must have the blessings of Slanesh as well, good lord.
Bond, give me one reason I shouldn't press this button and bring my men up here to use that tuxedo for target practice.
There's no button on your desk in the Wii version.
But why waste bullets when you've got an EMP weapon?
Okay, so Bond's logic here is that because Oromov wants the EMP device, Valentin must have it. Or he wants the helicopter to protect himself from the guy who's selling it to him? I have no idea. Anyway, they don't really draw much attention to that painting over there this time. So you have even less ability to figure out that they want you to do an objective in this room. So let's go out here. Also, you might notice that the whole point of us going out here into the corridor is so that she doesn't overhear us, but she actually leaves the office and walks past. It's a poorly planned cutscene if ever there was one, so the lights are swiddling around here.
Unpleasant visit.
Your phone call from Ordomov last night.
Misplaced nostalgia.
What does the Janus group want with an EMP-hardened helicopter?
Oh, you think if I knew I would get a job as a game writer?
Do you expect me to just turn the other cheek?
I could always provide you with a matching set.
Okay, so he threatens Bond with violence, Bond threatens him with violence, and that works. How did she know that Bond had a gun, anyway? Does she know who Bond is?
The same thing I told the General. Go to the arms fair in Dubai.
Okay, so once again, he gets shooted after telling us the one piece of information we could probably have looked up on Google. Look at this. He did it. He killed Zukovsky, she says, while she's throwing the gun. I mean, come the hell on. These guys should have seen that. And isn't the guy at the door even slightly suspicious of her taking the gun off him somehow in a way that's never specified? It's poorly written, but let us shoot up all of these men here and make our way out of here so that we don't have to deal with the plot holes of this level ever again. We'll have to deal with fresh new plot holes instead. You, sir, you now have plot holes throughout your body, which the blood will flow out of. That's important, you see. Anyway, even though Bond can't see these windows, he can still Daniel Craig through them, the madman that he is, and we can get ourselves a Wolf 44 as well. Now, it's got no cylinder release in this version, which would mean it would be kind of difficult to reload it, but that doesn't matter. There's other things that would make it kind of difficult to reload too. Anyway, so let's steal his pornography collection again, and then we can knob our way off and look under here for the button. It's not there, you see. I guess he was bluffing, or maybe he has an EMP-hardened helicopter hiding in that. So yeah, I don't really see how he was supposed to smuggle an EMP-hardened helicopter when all he does is hide guns in his fridge. Although given that the dance floor is so dark here, there could probably be an EMP-hardened helicopter in there and we wouldn't know about it. So maybe that's their tactic. You, sir, less of you. So here we go, watch this. Yeah, he apparently doesn't use a speed loader in this version. He can just perfectly align the cartridges with the cylinder using just the power of his fingers. He is a more talented fellow in this, and no mistake. So let's grab our HK-94 and then we will give up on that, and instead we will go out here onto the dance floor and start shooting at people, because that's what we're like, you know. We are a terribly unfriendly fellow and we have no social decorum or knees, so let's kill off all of these guys. Here, lurking in the darkness, is a great many men. It's not a very fun section in the Wii version, this, just because you can't see what the hell you're doing, and your aim isn't very good either. You, sir, stop hiding behind things over there and things over here. Next, I will be doing a very ill-advised thing, so you can all laugh at that. Get out of it. You will allow me to do that. So I didn't shoot him, and then I thought I'd see, hey, maybe if I try jumping over this, I'll be able to kick him. Nope, that didn't work, so, yeah, now my eyes are malfunctioning all over the place. My single eye, it seems. You know, I don't know why they do things like that when it just makes it very clear that the viewing angle is completely false. It doesn't make any sense at all, particularly does it, Richard? Anyway, so we've got to take out more of these guys here with our dirty Harriel McMagnum pistol at long range, but our sights are rubbish, and so that won't really help us. Alright, so now we've got to do some more climbing in a second. We'll vault over here, but firstly we'll have to take care of that guy who's hiding in the shadows, because he is a dastardly. He is Richard Dastardly, known for his cheating in the wacky races. So I'm going to be showing you some of the fire modes here. You can switch this one into a burst fire mode, which basically makes it about as accurate as firing it semi-auto. It wastes less ammo than a full auto, and also allows you to hit things occasionally, which shouldn't work because this thing's got an SEF trigger group, which means it doesn't have burst fire functionality, but I guess they didn't think about that. Meanwhile, I'm going to spend an inordinate length of time shooting at a beer pump, because I am a talented gentleman. And that's my excuse anyway. So we can pick up the Torque T3 here, and we'll reload that because we've run out of ammo for our Splignius, and that's bad. Don't have the shotguns on the counters here, the Smith & Wesson M3000s. I got it wrong in the previous update, so it'll correct myself now, don't you know. I also didn't mean to suggest that Barcelona is a failure, merely that Bond is a failure in Barcelona. That is my tactic, and I'm sticking to it. So we can get rid of this thing now. We'll get rid of it in favour of one of these, or maybe we'll get rid of this in favour of one of these. I don't know. It will be very exciting. So we'll reload that, and then we can bugger off like this, whittling our way like a man would. Okay, so there's nothing over there either. I don't really see why I decided to go over there and show you that, because it isn't interesting. But all of the shades have exited the dance floor, so that means that we have exiled the taint of chaos from this place. I don't know why I felt like I'd check the objectives there. I guess I was just making sure I didn't forget something accidentally. Or deliberately, who knows. But let's have a look through this door. We can breach this door with our leg, you see. Alright, so now we can take care of all these guys, because we fire faster than they do in our breaching type animation, and that's good, don't you know. This is probably the single most disorganized breach in the game. Meanwhile, huge sections of glass are going to smash around everywhere there, because it apparently is built out of them. Not really sure how that works. It's very silly. You, sir, I don't want to live in a world where you're possible. So let's load this back up, and then we can bugger off out of here. Not really sure about the design of this nightclub. I mean, you have to go through the toilet to get to the kitchen. That seems unsanitary. It seems the sort of thing that would get you shut down, don't you know? So let's reload that and then continue finding out how many hygienic violations this place commits in the average day. Alright, so we're going to go into our special toilet here and grab ourselves more Wolf 44 type ammunition. We can't do the trick in the kitchen this time, so that's not going to help. I forget if I've updated that in the previous video, but I believe I have. So you, let's have a look through here. You, I'm going to take you out with my gun, I am. And I'm going to eject massive shards of glass out there. I guess that thing's made out of about 4 tons of glass, given the amount of stuff it ejects everywhere. So that's probably going to cost him quite a bit. He's not going to care, though, because he's dead, you see. Or maybe he isn't, because he wasn't on the dance floor. His body vanished. You know, I guess that means there aren't any graveyards in this world if bodies just evaporate. That's probably something to consider as we go forth through. Let's reload up this old Sly 2020, deal with them with our airsoft gun. It looks a bit more like a Remington 870 here, but it's still an airsoft gun, and that's the way it will always be. You two, you're going to be destroyed. Meanwhile, they're going to try and shoot at us out of the freezer, because that's how they roll around here. Take him out, because we don't like him, and then we can load some rounds into there, not nearly enough to make up for the amount it actually has, and then carry on. It's time to see one of the other differences between the versions in this freezer, you see, because it's a freezer in this version. They've actually bothered to add smoke to make that clear, and there are entire sides of meat hanging up. That doesn't really strike me as the kind of thing a nightclub would get much mileage out of, but I suppose I don't know much about nightclubs. I've never run one, you see. So let's have a look through here. There's a door, but there is a talking door, it seems. There are voices coming from it, you see. I don't think those voices can harm us, so instead let's take care of this picture, which is hard to get, and that will get us a really blurry picture of nothing, which will allow us to prove that he was smuggling the weapons, I suppose. Meanwhile, the sides of meat are apparently shooting at us. I'm not really sure what's going on there. It's very silly. I thought I'd have a look out here in case it was that guy, but it wasn't. Okay, so now those sides of meat are talking to us again. Oh my god, he opened the door, and now he's shooting us through the door. He's clearly a man of many talents. So I've got ourselves Callus 89 here. He reloads this with the wrong hand in this version, but he reloads the Ivana Spec R with the right hand. It's a very strange procedure that he has committed himself to, I suppose. There we go, we've got this thing with a reflex sight. That's great, now we can use it on people to kill them. Right, so it's time to go out into the kitchens and fight all the waves of baddies who have colonized them. But first we'll take out that just in case there was anyone standing in front of it, but there wasn't, that's what. So yeah, it's got the, for some reason there, it's got a left-handed charging handle, just to be inconvenient to whoever has it, though he has to still use some wrong-handed reloadery. There we go, so he has to reach over it like that, you see. So we've taken him out there, and but there are plenty more guys where he came from, and take care of that. And there's also a lot of exploding things that are really, really hard to get any use out of, because they're kind of hidden away in little areas like that one. There's a guy over here, but if we advance forward anymore, we will spawn the next wave of dudes, so that will be a bad thing for us to have done. Right, load that back up, give it a tweak, and then we can continue with our ways, our plan to take care of all these kitchen lights. I'm not really sure why I did that, and I don't think you are either, so let us not comment on it further. Instead, we'll take care of their fire extinguisher, which has become a life extinguisher to all of these gentlemen. And then they come in through that door over there, even though I'm right next to it, and that's really cruel of them. You, sir, you're a cruel gentleman and no mistake. Now, this thing actually has the wrong magazine in this version. It's got a magazine which suggests it's a Scar H, but the barrel length and everything else about it suggests it's Scar L, so that's it's a schizophrenic type gun, you see. Alright, so we can go through here now and let us take care of these men's fire extinguisher. That will kill them both off in stylish fashion. Alright, so I thought I would just check there to make sure, because as I said, I did a run of this where I forgot accidentally about the photography objective. Meanwhile, let's go out here. I did a quick flick of that, but I forgot what I was looking at there. It doesn't matter. There we go, that's got burst fire functions, which I don't think is correct. Anyway, yeah. How are you supposed to spot that? I really don't know. Anyways, we go through here, and the outside of the building will not disappear this time. We will stealth our way through it, and then we can carry on into the realms in which we live. We're not interested in that magnum there, because we're not going for any kinds of trophies. There aren't any trophies. So let's go out here again into the room of weirditude, where the spell of the necromancer will have one final effect on Inquisitor Krieg. He will have to deal with all of these people and their power over his mind as they try to get him. If Matt Ward were writing it, this would never be possible. Yeah, so nobody spawns behind us this time. Matt Ward is writing it, I suppose, because all of the challenge has gone. We are now invulnerable. There's a couple of guys over there who are shooting at us, and here is a Scar, but we don't need that Scar because we're already manly enough without it. Let's take care of him as he comes up the stairs, and then we can find ourselves an Ivana Spec R with an incursions scope. That'll allow us to shoot people at much longer range. You, sir, I've shot you at longer range. Now you might notice there are an inordinate number of blips on the radar. That's because all of the guys out there are showing up on his enemies for some reason. I guess this Bond is more of the school of assuming everyone in the world is his enemy until it has been proven otherwise or something. Meanwhile, the dump truck full of glass is once again following us around, trying to deposit all of its wreckage in places we cannot see it. I guess they should put in some civic laws to prevent that sort of thing, but they must be in the thrall of these people who run this bad nightclub. Yes, this is the greatest glass dumping operation. I don't know what I was going for there, and it really didn't work out anyway, but never mind. That glass is shooting at us. It's bad glass. There's all the glass in here is our enemy now. That guy flopped down there, and then he flopped further, like Eurocom. Okay, so we think we're going to deal with this guy here, and then we can probably finish up with that man there. I'm not really sure why I spotted him, and he isn't either. He thought he was concealed there behind his table and such. So yes, this is the dining room of the nightclub. It's a very strange multi-purpose nightclub. Meanwhile, that helicopter's going to try to crash into the other helicopter. I'm not really sure. I'm fairly sure it actually flew into the ground there, but it apparently recovered from it masterfully, so I guess I don't know much about helicoptering. Meanwhile, there's a bunch of dudes over there, but they're all clones, so we'll have to look at them later. Maybe we will witness their attack or something. I think they're all Trevelyan's, actually. It's very strange. We'll be taking a closer look at them later, though. Yes, in this version, they actually come out of the cars. The cars don't just park up and try to deal with us that way. So they're at least a bit less lazy in their accomplices-inge. That's not a word at all. What are you doing, you two? Why are you making the English language corrupt itself for me? Is there any limit to your powers? I don't know. Anyway, so let's go through this here vent, and then we can prevent it. Haha, you see what I did there? No, neither do I. Right, let's jump down there, and then we can go in here and win at Clacks again. Hooray! Let's use this on it. Right, so there we go. All the blocks disappear, and then we have the high score. Hooray! So, there we go. We have completed the objective, and that gets us the security footage of the nightclub death machine thing. You know, I didn't see a security camera there. I think they're lying to us. So, let's fiddle our way across here, bouncing around like a useless, and then we can make our way out of this place and have a quick stare at those helicopters and the men they serve. Right, so there's a cart of drinks there, and there is Trevelyan model again, as we point our reticule at him, our machine-type device. So there they are, they're all hiding behind the car as well. This is, no, he's decided to try something else. He's a different man. He's his own man. He doesn't stand for any of this kind of silliness. So anyways, let's go through this door here, whereupon a warning shot will be fired at us. There we go. I'm not really sure what that's in aid of, but there you go, there's the bullet hole, and we can have a look down here now. That does look awfully like the Trevelyan man. Maybe this is Janus's plan. It is to try and take over all of the nightclubs in Europe, so that then he can smuggle helicopters through them. It's not a very good plan, and not a very sensible one either, but never mind. Okay, so they're all parked up there, and they have managed to block off everything except the exit we're actually going to use. They're not very competent here, and here, because we are less manly as Bond, our motorcycle is yellow instead of black or something. Or maybe we don't have to compensate as much, so we are a more manlier Bond. Who knows? It will never become clear. Anyway, that has been the Nightclub, and I have been Evil Tim. It is time to go on to the bonus video, which I have provided for you thoughtfully. You will have a good day until you decide to do that, unless you don't decide to do that, in which case you won't. It will be horrible.